I still recall that night, the smoke rising in the air, the people I knew chanting on the ridge, beating drums, the sound of screams, the sacrifice on Bonfire Hill. I was a child then, a red-headed one at that, a Celt, of the Iceni clan. My fairness made me an outcast of sorts, and I was gifted few friends. In fact, I had one friend. His name was Kadru, and like myself, was something of an outsider. His family were said to have been taken by Morrigan, a goddess who allegedly resembled a giant black bird, which was why he was orphaned. It was said that she was so cross with the family that she cursed Kadru, which manifested itself as a mark. The mark bore a strong resemblance to a black serpent, which coiled and withered down his left leg. It frightened the adults and caused the children to scorn him. Our village worshipped the god Belinus, who was as radiant as the sun and brought forth lofty harvests. For them, seeing a child cursed by the god of war and famine was a bad omen. To help cope with our loneliness, we would often spend our days roaming the hillsides and slapping thistleweeds with sticks, pretending we were defending the village from the Saxons. This would go on until the sun would disappear. I'd return to the village and he would return to his hut in the forest. Our routine would continue on like that for years. He really was my only friend. I was 10. We were entering the second year of a drought and poor yields. Little food and high tensions were beginning to make people anxious. The town consulted the elders and, like many times before, knew the answer would be found with atonement. Naturally, we knew the god desired the flesh of a sheep, cow, or other beast of burden. I'd seen the ceremony before, yet this time it was different. There was no grand marking of a beast, no indication of one who had been chosen. Then I saw it. A group of men, dressed in black attire, walked into the forest. Of course, they went in to fetch a deer. At the time, that was the most reasonable option, which would guarantee a strong harvest and good seasonal weather. The next morning, I awaited Kadru eagerly. We'd planned on visiting the south end of the forest in search of fairy rings. I waited the entire day. He never showed up. I went back to the village hoping to find him. The villagers had already donned masks and were well into celebrating Beltane. The streets were filled with people all dancing, some wearing antlers, others bearing torches. The village center was awash with black and brown masks made with woven reeds. It was too chaotic. There wasn't a chance in finding Kadru in this mess. Suddenly, drums. I could see from the town center that the bonfire was already lit. The people moved as if under divine control towards the glowing hillside. The sky grew dark. The stars, one by one, winked into existence. The embers wafted upwards to meet them. The drumming only increased in intensity and tempo. The men I'd seen from last night came forward. With them was a creature covered in a black tapestry. As the drums reached a maddening pace, the men decloaked the unknown beast. My eyes strained to understand what I was seeing. There he was, Kadru, a rope bound to his neck, looking as if he'd been beaten. He was backlit by the pyre. He looked at me, unflinching, begging for help without mouthing a word. Within that instant, he was picked up and tossed into the fire. His screams of agony bore into me like an arrow. I fled, the screams echoing amongst the drums and chanting. I couldn't watch my own friend die, my only friend, and I was but a child who couldn't possibly save him. Haste took me as I bounded from Bonfire Hill. I tripped, falling forward. I didn't feel it, but I must have blacked out, because when I awoke, I was in my bed. Things would never be the same after that. I looked at the others in the village, including my own parents, with suspicion and hate. A decade would pass, and every harvest from there on was a bountiful one. Though if it was because of Kadru's sacrifice, it was hard to say. Last month my wife had given birth to our son who, to my shock, had the same black mark as Kaa drew, which made me think, just how long would these generous harvests last?